So what's your name?
Beckham.
Beckham. And whose child are you?
Dad's. Joe.
Joe. All right. So you are Joe's son. Are you the oldest?
No.
Oh, okay. Do you have any other brothers and sisters?
Yes.
You do? How many?
One brother and one sister.
You can talk in the microphone. It's a little bit taller though. So like talk on the top. There you go. Yep. So one brother, one sister?
Yes.
Cool. Who is your favorite superhero?
Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, like the movie?
Miles.
Miles Morales? You like him? That's cool. Well, how come? Do you have a specific reason? You just like him, or
Well, I like his color and
his like costume, whatever?
Yeah, and he's younger.
Yeah, yep. He's more your age. How old are you, Beckham?
9.
9 years old. What's it like to be a 9-year-old?
To almost be a double digit.
You ready for 10 years old?
Yes.
Yep. When's your birthday?
June 14th.
June 14th. You have any big plans when you turn 10?
Go bowling.
You want to go bowling? That'd be sweet. You have anything else you want to say?
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Okay, well, everybody, that was Beckham. That is one of Joe's kids. He is hanging out in between recording. So we're going to sign off now. And you want to say bye?
Bye.
See ya. Well, welcome to the second episode of Joe Ken Around.
I thought you were the one having the problem to talk.
I was looking at you.
And I'm like, wait, what? I was checking messages on my phone.
Why aren't you speaking to the microphone?
I'm coming. I'm sorry. It was shifted. Ooh,
There you go.
There it is.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay. So let's try that again.
All right.
Welcome to the second. Oh my goodness. Let's try it again.
All right. I'm ready.
Welcome to the second episode of
Joe
Ken
Around. Sorry. Let's do this again. I didn't know you were going to say your name. It makes more sense to do that anyway, so go ahead.
Yeah. Welcome to the second episode of
Joe
Ken Around. We're sitting here talking about things about
things.
What was dinging? Is that your phone on?
Yeah, it's phones and stuff. That to me doesn't bug me a whole lot. It's a little atmospheric.
Fire out of me.
You want it to be so clean, and I know.
This is very informal. Even though the audio quality is very high, it's still in an informal setting. We're not in a professional studio.
Exactly.
Actually, we are in a professional studio.
Yeah.
We're coming to you live from Joe's studio. At Joe's studio at an undisclosed location.
Underground, and it's nickel plated if you got the last episode.
Yeah, go back and listen to the first episode to hear what we're talking about.
I don't know what I was talking
This
about.
studio is not a sound studio. It is an art studio.
Correct.
Last week we talked about Joe's profession as an artist and kind of how he got kind of the early part of it. And it's fun for me because I get to just enjoy it. I'm not an artist per se. I'm not even per se. I'm not an artist.
I mean, I get it, but you definitely have some
and the
skills.
way that you do your art, your visual painting, photography, art stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I get to enjoy it. So we talked a little bit about comics and Comic-Con and stuff like that or whatever in the past, but I've always found a special kind of like getaway with comics.
Oh yeah, of course.
So like and I used to buy weekly and stuff like that too, and I'm kind of picky about my comics.
Yeah.
What you doing, doggy?
Sorry, yeah, the dog is trying to walk through and amongst our cables.
Yeah.
You're going to hear a big crash and it's going to go dead.
Yeah.
Anyway, continue.
That's what's gonna happen. I'm trying to. I forgot what I was talking about. Comic books.
Comic books. Get away.
I'm kind of picky with my comic books. I like my superheroes to be a certain way.
Yep.
I'm not part of the woke crowd and stuff like that. All the new stuff that's really kind of coming in. I really like all the old stuff.
Yeah.
Kind of, and we talked about that with our childhood superheroes and stuff growing up.
Yep.
Like what that was like. One of them being Lou Ferrigno and the Hulk, the TV show.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Actual Hulk.
Yeah, like the last, he was the last
Hulk.
person that'll probably play the live action person as the Hulk. Another one I think we could talk about, just in thinking about this, would be Superman. Now, this one is one that we could talk about forever and forever.
We could probably title this podcast Superman. And we could last a year on Superman. 100,000%. We could do an entire year of podcasts.
Yeah,
on just Superman.
It's true. I think a lot of people hate on Superman because I think he's too perfect. Probably.
Yeah. We've heard it all.
Yeah, we've heard all that stuff, and that's fine. Batman's better than Superman, and
we get it. I get it.
That's cool. I like Batman too, but whatever. I could be a Superman fan as well. But my question I was going to ask you was, do you have a very first Superman memory?
Ooh.
As a kid?
Okay. So
I'm
couple things.
A child.
Yeah, a couple things hit me right away. One, the pajamas. With the footies.
Superman pajamas.
With the footies. I'm talking the little grippy. So they were it was a
sleepers.
onesie.
The sleepers.
Yeah. I called them footies. I don't know. They just
had
had those
pajamas. Yep.
Yeah.
No, you're right.
And they were so hot. Like you could get really sweaty in them. Kind of hot.
Yeah, they're dangerous.
Oh my goodness. But I had to wear it. I had to have it. And they had the little tags with Velcro for the cape.
Huh.
I don't know if you remember that, but they actually had a...
Did they have the grippy on them? Because I remember...
No, you could slide on them. But they started off as like sort of grippy. And then it broke down after it got washed. And then it became slippery. But as opposed to grippy, I mean... So
the ones I know you're talking about with the Velcro tabs to connect the cape to...
Itchy.
Those had... Those weren't footy. Those actually they were pajamas, but they were like around the ankles and around the legs. If you're just talking about a footy, I don't remember a footy
there
Superman.
Was one. I
don't remember that.
I'm going to look it up to be sure, but I am about 99% sure that before you had them, right, and I had a version of them, it was a full-on onesie from foot to like, was it his front zip up?
Yeah.
And I just remember the
my
size
daughter
being
wears those
super
to bed.
itchy.
She's 2 years old.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh man.
They've come a long way.
Because they started making them differently, and I remember that they did just
They're
have
probably made out of like polyester or something.
Oh man. Like, to be honest, actually, they were comfortable. They were just kept in the heat a lot. Especially
kept in the heat.
Yeah, because the
the pajamas kept the heat inside them. I thought you were like, we stored them in the heat. We kept them in the oven before we put them on our children.
Yeah, it would help us. For some reason, it made all the kids fall asleep when we made it super piping hot and put it on them.
We cooked them to sleep.
Yeah, they didn't realize that they were passing out.
We have some Mexican heritage in our family, so that's appropriate. Anyways, continue. These footy pajamas. This is the first time I'm hearing about this.
So this is
Superman footy pajamas.
Yeah. Now I shared a room, and this would be a little bit later on. I don't remember when it started, but I do remember going into what was our older brother Ben's room if I wasn't already moved in there with him. So we had bunk beds, right?
Uh-huh.
And I would jump off the top bunk bed to watch my cape go, right? Yep. And that was a huge jump, but I'd put
very important part.
Yes, I would put, I mean, I did it off the couch and stuff like that too, but it was really effective in that room because it was the highest I could get in the house and somewhat safely.
Well, you wouldn't get in trouble for it.
Exactly. And
maybe noise.
Well, I put the other mattress like down on the ground.
Yep.
so that I had somewhere to fall, obviously.
Off
but,
the bunk bed, top of the bunk bed,
Yep.
right?
Yep. And that was one of the first. Okay, but coupled with that, this is very important. This is extremely important. Is the music. So the second you said it, and I might actually think that although maybe I saw I'm sure Dad or somebody played Superman the movie at some point when I was very young, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the first time I was ever introduced to actual Superman that I remember is technically hearing Dad go to town in the car. I don't want to blow out your ears here, but be prepared. Superman! He just had his way of saying that.
Like
and
the
it would
1940s,
Yes.
1950s.
No.
George Reeves.
No, we'll talk about
intro
that. No. That was
style?
awesome. I'm sorry. This would be Dad, because that's something totally separate. And I also...
But I feel like Dad would be imitating that.
So he might have been, but he would do
but you
it
remember Dad doing it.
to
You're not remembering the show.
John Williams original scoring.
Okay.
Would it be London Symphony Orchestra, or would it be...
So I remember the tape. Ben had
Okay.
a tape that had John Williams thing on it.
all his hits or
cassette.
something? Yeah.
Like a John Williams pop hits or something, and one of them was Superman. They had the Olympic fanfare on there.
Oh, I love that one. Yeah.
We're
Classic good stuff,
We
man.
grew up. John Williams would be our second father if you had to put that in there.
It's probably true.
Just wonderfully broad, beautiful, orchestral, exciting music. It's like hits you right in the soul of being a boy. It turns into a man because of all these Indiana Jones and Superman.
Man. Yeah.
And all that stuff. But anyways,
All that dreaming that took place. That's where.
Yes.
That's why I can't help
Yep.
but have that as a part of my mind. Go ahead.
So you mentioned that Ben, our oldest sibling Ben, he had a tape. He had a cassette tape that it was a John Williams thing, and I remember that. Cover for it. It was like a red and yellow striped kind of, almost like a, like the beach ball kind of.
I was gonna say
look.
Legos, as if it had been built that way, kind of.
Maybe, but I think it was a picture of a silhouette of a conductor, and behind him was this stripes of yellow and red kind of faded or something like that.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Because all the ones I remember that were cassette tapes, almost all of them were duplicates or something.
Yeah. This one was actually an actual
Wow.
bought John Williams thing. Dad probably still has. I know he still has cassettes.
Oh yeah, he's got 'em
in the
stored.
weight room.
Yep.
And by the way, Dad, who is just turned 70, has a weight room in the basement
of the new house.
of the house that he's currently at. I feel like he always has, and he's got a nice little gym there and everything. Weights on the side, tools and stuff, and
Yep.
he's always got a tape cassette.
He's got his office, which may have shifted from out of that area. I can't remember.
Yeah, it's on the other side.
Okay.
So because the basement split down the middle,
Yeah.
but that's your earliest Superman memory. I had to really think about mine, kind of where you're talking about. I remember some of those same things.
Mm-hmm.
My earliest Superman memory has to be the Superman cartoons. And I'm not talking about Superman the Animated Series or Justice League or anything like that. I'm talking about the very first Superman cartoons, Max Fleischer cartoons.
Jeez.
They're the industry standard for animation. I mean, for so many years, they kind of still are. Just the way that the movement is,
Yeah.
and the weight of things.
Yep.
Because if you watch those, I think it's the first 6 or 8 that are actually made by that company, and then
They handed
it off something in there with the creators or the
Yeah.
animators, and they change a little bit. They're still classic and amazing to watch. But as a kid, we had a VHS tape that had a bunch of them on there.
Oh, I remember that.
Grandma or maybe Dad or somebody had recorded.
Yep.
Our Grandpa Dan, you'll probably hear us refer to him a lot. Ortega on Mom's side.
Yes.
Um,
Party side of the family.
Yeah,
We're very confused.
The crazy Latin Latino side of the family.
Yeah, man.
It
And then
was,
the other side.
was always camcording stuff. Like he always had really, you know, everybody was really good at like, okay, we want to watch this show. Let's tape it. That was like a huge thing back in the day. So we could watch it again
all the time.
So we would get tapes from them all the time. And I think they had recorded these, or maybe Dad did, you know, somebody did, maybe even Ben, because Ben was on the cutting edge when he got older too. But
dude, I just realized,
remember that?
Was it Grandpa Dan that recorded them? I thought it was Grandpa Dale. I thought that's where you're going with this.
Could be. It could be.
I might be, but there was another series too with the black and whites back with the original Reeves. Wait, Reeve. George Reeve?
George Reeve was the...
He wasn't the
Adventures
original
of Superman.
but he was just after.
The one before that was Kirk Allen.
Allen? Is that the last name?
That is the black and white. It was Superman serials they played in the theater. They were 15, 20 minutes long.
So Dad said he would watch them.
Yes, as a kid.
It was like 15 cents.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
To watch
and
it
there
or
might
something.
be like 3 or 4 of them that would go in the movie theater and see those.
Right.
And when he flew, he would turn into an animated cartoon.
Yes. Which looks exactly like the cartoon you were talking about, by the way.
Close, but... Well,
I know it's not the same
you're right,
necessarily.
You're right. Same style. His costume was same. Yep.
Yeah.
So the Max Fleischer cartoons was my very first one because that to me defined what Superman was. Like we actually got to see the very clean, pure first version of Superman.
Sure. Yeah.
It wasn't like or none of these newer ones and stuff too are like I'm like mocking them or anything, but like if you watch Superman the animated series or like because that was during my childhood. I was born in the late 80s, so like just before 90s happened, all the 90s cartoons came out, that was
a big wave. That
huge
was huge. Yes.
Like a lot of cool stuff.
That's when Saturday morning cartoons was a thing, and people, the way it worked was very, very much an explosion of cartoon
X-Men,
across the board.
Spider-Man,
hey, even Looney Tunes and all that era of transitioning. So totally on the same page with you. By the way, you need to watch these if you're listening to this. If you're not a Superman guy necessarily.
Max Fleischer cartoons are public domain now. They're so old, they're public domain.
Yes.
You can watch all of them on YouTube.
No way.
Yeah. Every single one of them. In fact, that was the point I was getting to. Was that that was probably my first memory? Was
right.
Faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive.
Able
and
to leap buildings.
Yeah, it would do that. But sometimes it would say more powerful than a hurricane, the Man of Steel. It'd be like Superman.
Dun, dun, dun,
oh man, I get chills just talking about it right now. Yep.
Dun 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 dun
dun. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it just built this tremendous power, and no matter how many times I watched it, I was like, "There he is," and then it talked, and he'd be standing there.
Yep.
And we could tell. I could tell which episode it was, if his cape was moving or not. Like sometimes when he's standing there as he's talking about him, his cape would wave, and sometimes it wouldn't.
Yep.
And I was like, "Oh, this might be the
episode with the robots that steal the jewelry."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And or the ray, the big ray gun. Yeah. That was so good.
Yep.
Oh man.
And you go back and watch those, just the way the lighting is, the color.
Yep.
It was way ahead of its time. All hand drawn stuff too. I mean, no computers, obviously, nothing like that. Very first Superman memory was that.
That's just so crazy. We don't even think twice about most of that now.
Right.
Like with most cartoons and whatnot. I mean, you develop a character and it basically, it doesn't draw itself. Trust me, I understand that character design is only bigger now, but it's just the latitude of the work that takes place is just wider.
Yeah.
It's not, 3 artists dying doing the exact same thing, 50 million. It's 100 artists doing very small parts, which end up being huge parts, obviously.
Right.
Like all at the same time.
Across the entire world.
Yeah.
Like now people can just be like, hey, here, go color my page
Yeah.
or something I did
Yeah.
for a digital whatever.
Oh my gosh! But
And
even
they-
on the same project, I'm saying, like, you start talking Pixar and stuff, and
Yeah.
and you've got the guy who's like literally his whole job is thinking about the emotional facial structure of the character,
Yeah. Or
and
like-
the coloring in his face, or that's probably a little overdoing
one
it, but,
scene.
Yeah, no, for real. Some of them, you're right. Some of them worked on a scene for a year.
Yep.
Like one scene for a year, like on some of these projects. I mean, that's just crazy. Anyway, getting back though, sorry I pulled this away, but you just reminded me of that. Getting back to those artists.
It goes a lot into your world of the artist,
Sure.
of the artistry behind it.
I love that stuff.
And these guys that did that, Flesher Studios, the artists behind it, they set the standard. Nobody had done anything like that before.
Sure,
And
yeah.
if you want to go all the way back to the very beginning of Superman, Joe Shuster and
What's
Jerry
the other?
and Joe. Is it Jerry and Joe? Joe Shuster and
I think
Joe
it's-
Simon.
Yeah, there
Joe
you go.
Simon and Simon and
We'll
Schuster.
look it up to be sure.
I'm so embarrassed right now.
Yeah, I know. It's like we're Superman fans. We have no idea who created him.
Oh,
Yeah.
these two Jewish guys
Yep.
had nothing, and they were doing a comic strip and stuff
That's
like
right.
that, trying
Yep.
to get stuff into dailies. Because that was
Were they out in New York or New Jersey or something?
pretty sure it was New York.
Okay,
Yep.
I thought it was New York.
Yep.
Yeah,
Because that's kind of where it started. Everything started there.
Yeah.
As far as the comic stuff goes. It wasn't until later till like Marvel moved out to California and
yeah.
and different things
Hollywood
like
and
that.
all that takes place later on. Right,
That was
right,
completely separate because Hollywood and comics did not go together
right. Yeah.
for a long time. Now they love it. They
Now,
can't get enough of it.
yeah. You pretty
But
much found a
these
gold
two
mine.
Jewish boys,
Yep.
poor or whatever, their original idea of Superman was a short story I think they published called "The Reign of the Supermen," of the Superman or something like
Right,
that. And he
okay.
was evil. he was
Wow.
like he was more Lex Luthor like
Yeah.
or something. But then after he was like some kind of mad scientist or something like that. But after that, when they actually did Adventures of the actual Superman character was when he was born, 1938 maybe.
Jeez.
1928. I should have probably. You can tell we're doing this all off the cuff because
Yeah, we're literally looking
literally
at
just
no info in front of
staring
us. So.
at Joe's paint-covered wall here.
Yeah.
Thinking, but
I mean, I can give it a
20
quick look. Are you talking about the creation of Superman as
the very first iteration of Superman.
okay?
You could look up Action Comics #1. That's actually the one I'm thinking of.
Okay, Action Comics
Number
one.
I'm gonna say before you look it up,
I'm bringing it up.
1928. I don't remember.
I'm gonna put in year
Or
because
is it
it's
30s?
just giving me
20 or 30s.
it's giving me its value and stuff, which is crazy. One of these is well over like $2,000, by the way. So, holy cow, that's probably in terrible condition. Sorry, that was my watch that's talking to me. It thinks I'm asking it a question. Here we go. You ready? What was the date you had?
I said 1938.
Yep.
Am I close?
You are right on it. It is Action Comics #1, cover dated June 1938, is the first issue of the original run of the. Okay, so Action Comics #1, cover dated June 1938, is the first issue of the original run of the comic book / magazine series Action Comics.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So 38. Yeah, the original superhero that nobody had done that up until this point.
So I got it.
Was
It's
kind of the main idea of that. I
Joe
was saying.
Shuster
Yeah, Joe
and Jerry
Simon.
Siegel.
Joe, who's Joe Simon? Why am I saying Joe Simon?
I think
Jerry and Joe Shuster, Jerry Siegel.
Siegel, yeah.
Yeah. My goodness.
Guess
I
how
don't know
much?
where you
Guess
Joe
how
S-
much it costs. Guess how much it costs.
What's the grade?
No. I'm sorry. Back then, when it came out,
it was a 5 center, right?
10 cents,
10 center.
which would have been the equivalent of a $2
Well,
deal.
and the
in
other
2020 anyway.
Yeah, and the other thing about that too was that Action Comics #1 wasn't just Superman.
Right. They said it
There
was
was like 64
appearances.
pages worth of stuff in there.
Oh my goodness,
Other things,
man.
other
That's
stories, other
crazy.
detective stories, because they didn't know until I think 3 or 4, maybe, Action Comics 3 or 4, that it was such a big hit that they had sold them out.
Yeah.
So Superman isn't on the cover again until I think issue 6 or something like that. Again, this is all off the cuff, but they didn't know how well it was selling. So you can
That's
find
crazy,
the
man.
Action Comics in the middle that are like just detective stories or something like that. Other things, but that Superman kind of heritage, I guess,
Right.
for us, and in our family, there's 4 boys and a girl, and I think every single one of us kind of look at Superman as the start of.
Yeah, it's what got us into it. It's what charged up your energy, if you will, as a kid, to be focused in on some form of like power.
Here's my hero
and excitement.
Yep.
Exactly. It's every bit of it, and we've all navigated away a little bit to things that we like. I know Peter, who we'll probably have on in the future. He's really awesome gamer, and I would call him so many different things. I don't know how to define him, but he's the youngest brother. And, since we've talked, there's us 2, and then we got the older brother, Ben. So there's 4 boys, like Ken was saying.
Yep. Ben,
yeah,
Joe, Ken, and Peter.
Right. And we just don't talk about her sister ever. So
I feel bad.
I know.
Because
I'm so sorry.
Well, not only is she the only girl,
yeah,
but she is she's the second born.
Yeah, so
she's really tough.
That's a tough little spot to be. Like, you're not second in everything actually, but you have to treat life that way, basically, right?
Yeah, I hear all the things about second. I'm number 4, so I don't understand any of it.
You're like, whatever.
I'm like, okay, there's a million people. There's a million people before me. Everything I ever get was secondhand.
Yeah.
Like all the pajamas you had, they were probably the same pajamas I had, but they had like all the cracks in the S on the chest because it was all worn out.
Yep.
However, Peter,
this is where I was going with that. You can take it from here, but
you're going to talk about his suit.
So I was going to say that his version of it, and correct me if I'm wrong, because it changed a little bit at one point, but he did the cowboy boots.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember that? Yeah. He did the cowboy boots with it wasn't even a onesie, it was the t-shirt. And I remember us all growing out of it where it slowly became a belly shirt, And we had footage. I want to find it. We had footage from, like you talked about, Grandpa Dan always with the camcorder.
Yeah.
Gave it to somebody. I don't know if it was Mom or if he was doing it at the time, but it was like me and Uncle Dennis versus like Ben and Nate or something. And
playing basketball.
Yeah, playing basketball in the backyard. And you see Peter like looking at the camera and then go, "Okay, I'm going," and just like take off in his cowboy boots.
Oh,
and his belly's kind of showing, and he's like running, and his cape.
He's not here to defend himself. But
I feel bad. I think he'd be like, "Yeah, whatever. It's not true."
But
so,
what I remember is he actually had a top of the line, quote unquote, for a kid Superman suit.
Yes, he did. So
do you
he's
remember
the baby.
That?
Being the baby means getting a little bit of that, extra from the parents.
Yeah. It was so cool because it was a full suit from top to bottom.
Oh, it's so
It was an actual suit. It wasn't
Didn't
pajamas.
even have a muscle version of it. Did that
we had a muscle shirt. That came from Ben. There was like a muscle shirt you could put on underneath.
Not that one either. I know I played with that, but I'm pretty sure one of his suits, because he had multiple Superman costumes.
Oh, that's the only one I remember. The only thing I remember about that was that the cape actually was length to come down to almost where your feet was, because the little other pajama ones,
yeah, they were so short.
They didn't even come down to your waist.
Yep.
And they were so annoying.
Yep. Yeah, I know.
But his actually, it tied around your neck, so you kind of have that annoying bow in the front, but the cape was long,
which is just awesome.
Which is why he was running around so much.
Exactly, it makes sense.
Because it flapped behind you.
I would have done it too.
He'd just run laps around the house.
I know. I'd be running laps around anything with that thing.
With a cape, yeah. Yep.
I know.
Exactly. Well, and Peter's not here to defend himself, so obviously
He'll get me back for all this. Trust me, folks.
when he hears this or something, he'll be like, "Oh yeah,
well, he'll be on. We're gonna have him on.
He's like, "Oh
and
yeah,
he'll
well that's
defend
true."
himself.
So there.
Yeah, we didn't say anything super uber negative about him. It's just the memories of how that happens. Childhood's just one of those things, man.
Yep. And maybe in the next one we can talk about how that relationship changes over the years.
Yeah, no kidding.
Between siblings and stuff like that. But anyways, I think that's it for now. Like I said, with Superman,
introduction.
Superman, we could talk so much about that.
It's hard not to at least start there, so I'm glad we did.
Yep, I think that's a good start. So until next time, we don't know what we're doing.
No,
and
but
we'll continue doing what we don't know.
We need to do, and by the way, we need to finish off with like a part 2 Superman. I have at least enough to, we have at least enough, I think, to segue out of Superman into our next intro.
Okay.
So
We can
I
do
say we
that.
try to do that if that's cool.
Okay, let's do
It
it.
was fun.
Okay, well, bye for now.
See you later.